Hello, everybody. Believe we are live. Okay. Everything looks pretty good. Sorry I'm late, and I'm sorry that I missed last week. Um, but I don't know if any of you know this, but my boyfriend, who is from the UK, Alec, is here, and he got here last Wednesday, so I was getting everything ready for him and all that. And we've been traveling all week as well. um, Most of you know my mom had to move to Virginia because of her job, and so we went up there to visit her and just got back. So anyway, I hope that everyone is doing well. I hope that everyone's having a good day. Well, obviously, if you're watching this, you might not be, but I hope you're having the best day that you can possibly have, considering your current circumstances. Did you get all the bugs? Okay. Alrighty. Yeah, so Alex is here.
Hey.
Make sure my phone's on silent. Anyway. So, what I was wanting to talk to you guys about today. Oh yeah, I need to post the phone number in the chat. Oh hi, is it Vivica? I probably did not pronounce that right at all. Sorry about that. I need to post the number though. Also, if you are on Facebook, you can also send me a message in Messenger if you are more familiar with Facebook rather than with texting. But I'm going to put in the phone number for you guys anyway. You can text or you can call. You can also write in the comments, whichever you prefer. And like I said, I will answer messages on Messenger as well if I see them. Preferably, I would like to know if you're trying to send me a message because, if we're not friends or whatever, then that makes it a lot more difficult. Anyway, so one thing I was wanting to talk about is some of the ways, like the right ways and the wrong ways to try to go about promoting this change that we are wanting. Another thing is I need to get more resources across the states, because even though there's a lot of laws that are similar across states as far as federal laws, the actual state laws vary some state to state. And I need more information on that. Just like there's some states where um, there you need the other person's consent to record, and I'm not sure how you would work around those things. Um, I mean, I guess you could just be quite simple and blunt about it and be like, I don't feel comfortable, that I have to ask your permission by law, and I do not feel comfortable with you making reports about me and me not having my own reports and evidence. Um, but if pretty much if you are openly showing that you are preparing to combat all their BS, then they're going to push back at you even harder, most likely. So I don't like giving that sort of advice, because that's what happened in my case. Or there's many factors in my case, but I do think that definitely didn't help my case with me being so open about that I was doing that. Um, so I would not suggest openly doing it if your state is a one party consent state like North Carolina is. And so that's one thing I would like to do is to try to get in touch with other people that are trying to get CPS reform, and us try to connect our group with some other groups. I was trying to go on Facebook and find some, but there's a lot of them that actually haven't uploaded in like 2 years. And I'm like, I don't know. So I would like for our group to try to get in touch with some of these other groups or for other people. Like if you're in another state and you're watching, start your own group in your state, and we'll all kind of, together as a family and everything. Because mine, even though I am going to start in the state of North Carolina because that's where I'm at, and I do think we need to try to start at the state level. Eventually, I want this to become a federal thing, because there are actual federal laws that have to change themselves. So I would like for all of us, no matter what state we are in, to try to come together and also to give each other information because I have people reaching out to me from other states and I am unfamiliar with the laws of each state. North and South Carolina laws I know because I live here and because I have family in South Carolina, family. And but as far as other states I don't know. So I'm having to do my own research with all of you guys that are from outside of this my state that I'm in. Um, but yeah, if you have a one party consent, which basically means as long as you are participating in the conversation, then you are, and you're the one recording it, you're giving your own consent. And so you don't have to get the other person's consent. Whereas in a one party consent state, all that means is that you can't record two strangers' conversations or two other people's conversations that you are not a participant in. So as long as you are participating, but not all states allow that. Some states need, like, I think every person that's being recorded to consent to being recorded. So just do your own research as far as that. Like I try to help out people when I can in my spare time, which I don't have a lot of, but just try to educate yourself. It's Google and YouTube both are great sources to use. I mean, in fact, one of the places I had looked at, I just typed in, what the, I guess it's recording laws or voice recording laws, or they call it wireless recording or whatever. There's different terms, but if you put in um, recording law in whatever state you're in, it should bring up a page that gives you the actual like regulation or law number, the statute. I'm not sure what exactly it's called when it's in that context, but you know what I mean. And so it'll give you the exact number for that. So then you know what law exactly it is, and you can cover yourself by quoting that number if you ever had to, which hopefully you wouldn't have to. But yeah, just look up the law in your own state as far as that. Um, as far as um, some plans as far as protesting, I am not for what all these other people are doing, like some of the left party people when Trump became president went around burning things and, breaking into places and stuff and setting fire to things as if that's helping anything. Um, so I'm for peaceful protests, but there's protest has such a negative connotation to it. I think that's the word that I'm looking for. Um, and I don't mean it in like the publicized way that we see protesting, with like, people holding up signs saying, free our children or whatever. Although, you can do that and be peacefully protesting. Um, and, that may be something that has to be done at some point. But um, I was listening to Richard Grant, and as you guys know, I'm a huge fan of his work. Um, but that was something he was talking about with changing different things in the government or whatever is, like you don't have to like go out there and make like all this noise and be ranting and rioting and all of that stuff, because everything, including this with CPS, everything comes down to money. And one of the ways one might peacefully protest is if it's like, you get a group of people together and, you all want this change to be made. And it's like, okay, well, we aren't going to buy anything for a week. And I know that sounds ridiculous when you're only talking about maybe 100 people or something like that. But if you're talking about 1,000, let alone 100,000, that really impacts it. There really is, in just those few amount of people, a huge impact on our economy if people just did not buy anything, not a single thing. Continue going to work, doing that, like, you can't just not go to work, but continue going to work and just don't buy anything at all for a week. Um, so that's just an example of a way we could peacefully protest. Our numbers, of course, simply are not big enough right now. And so that's why right now we are in the stage of where we are needing to raise awareness. Which brings the other thing that I was wanting to talk about too is I'm not asking you guys for this, of course, because I'm trying to do this for you guys. So I'm not asking anything from you guys. Um, but is trying to get funds raised for, to help families. So, get funding raised to help spread the message and build awareness. Like I said, I'm not asking you guys, but it's something I'm thinking about doing. My birthday's coming up on Facebook, and I was wanting to know what else I want to donate to. And, I'm wanting the donation to be to this, to our channel, to our community. Um, and I want to start an account, I guess a type of business account or a charity account. I don't know. I'll have to talk to the bank about opening this, where and what kind of account that would have to be, where, I can put funds in to help support the cause, either to raise awareness and hopefully eventually one day, as more awareness is spread, then we can also have funding for families who need help fighting for their children. Um, so that's something else I'm looking into doing is, we have to spread awareness, but I want to raise funds to help people, because a lot of these cases, it comes down to you not having the money for a good attorney, because the attorney that the court gives you is on the same side as the court and CPS. They're just they're just filling in a spot. That's all they're doing. They're just a person standing on the X. Like when I was doing when I did a commercial last month for my a local place here, that's what they did. They like had a tape and they drew an X on the floor with the tape. And it's like, okay, come stand here and they'll say these lines. That's pretty much all a public defender does. They go stand on an X and they say some stuff. And that's pretty much it. They don't actually defend you. Especially more so in family court. Like I've had a couple of good ones, or I've seen a couple of good ones in criminal court. But in family court, it doesn't seem like they try to do anything at all to fight for you. Um, because I mean, they're basically for them to be fighting for you, they would be having to fight against the people who signed their checks. And so, in the very least, you would have to get a lawyer that is out of county to actually fight for you. And they're hard to find, and any of the ones you would find are pretty expensive. And so that's why I'm wanting to try to get this money together. But like I said, I'm probably just gonna put something on Facebook for like $50 for my birthday for people to donate to helping the CPS reform cause or to help bring families back together, which I'm not sure what I'm going to do other than that. I'm going to try to open up an account next month. Um, I don't know, like maybe buy some bulletin boards. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do. So I got to find out what I even can do, like what I can legally actually put on a sign or on a bulletin board, or a post online somewhere. But we definitely need to raise awareness. Um, Another thing I was thinking about doing is even just going, like actually meeting some people, like posting a meetup within the state or whatever. So, like, I live near Charlotte, and Charlotte seems to be a middle meeting ground for people to meet. I actually had a meeting with some film people there last week, that me and Alex went to. And so, Charlotte seems to be a good meeting ground, because you get both North and South Carolina kind of converging in that one little section because it's on the border. And, maybe post some stuff out there for people to come together and actually meet each other in person or whatever. So that you feel like you actually kind of have a community. Um, but yeah, we definitely have to spread awareness. That's for sure. Grow the channel and grow the message. I mean, I don't really care much about growing the channel aside from the fact that as the channel is growing, I know that it is spreading awareness, which is another reason why I need to keep doing these lives. Let me make sure that that phone number is actually open because I haven't heard from anybody. Uh, and also, I feel like I'm rambling at this point. And we're only 17 minutes into the video. Hmm. Okay, there it is. Okay. All right. I was just making sure that it was open. So as you guys can see, sorry, I'm blinding you. I keep forgetting to turn that down. As you guys can see, it is open. So if anybody wants to call or text and share your message. We actually had a caller, I think last time. I think it was last time. I'm pretty sure it was last time. What in the world? Oh, I gotta tell my uncle that I'm live right now. I can't at the moment. Okay. So, line is open if anybody wants to call in. Or if anyone has any questions. Like, even if you're someone who's not going through this, then, oh, I didn't share this actually. I need to share it. I need to share this. Hold on. Let me do that. Normally I do that before I even go live, but I forgot to do that today. It's like I've been running around like a crazy person. Okay. Facebook. Paste. All right. So I got that posted on Facebook, and let me share it to the group real quick. Share. Not on my timeline. Share in a group. Can I share it to more than one? No, apparently not. That would be too easy. Oh yeah, we were talking about the Alice in Wonderland effect last week and narcissism and how that plays into all of this. I'm not sure if we ever finished talking about that though. Yeah, there we go. Also, if any of you guys have any idea as far as what you guys think that we could do to, peacefully protest the stealing of our children, feel free to share those in the comments, in the chat, or text them to me as well if you would like to do that. I know there's a lot more that we could be doing that we can't be doing, or that we think we can't be doing that we are not doing. And also, too, a lot of times people, once they've already been through something like this, they want to just try to move on and forget about it. I know I kind of went through that for a little while as well, where I didn't even tell anyone that I had children. Well, when I first went through it, I was still talking about it. Like, I could not stop talking about it, about what had happened. And then it even kind of became where it's like, well, I didn't want people to know what happened because I noticed people giving me those looks, those judgmental looks where they're just like it's like it didn't matter what the conversation had been before that, where this person seemed to like me and respect me and see me as some kind of, good citizen or whatever. And then as soon as I told them about CPS taking my kids, then it's just kind of like, oh, and they might mutter something like, oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that, or, oh, well, at least you're doing good now. And it's like, I'm the same person. I mean, I'm not the same person, but that's no thanks to CPS, but I wasn't a dangerous person for my children. I know that for a fact, and I was a very good mother. Um, I mean, I don't have any reason to defend myself about it at this point. I know what I know, and I know that there are at least other people who have their kids that are more deserving to lose their kids. But I don't even want to get into that because I don't like saying that anyone would deserve to lose their kids. But I know I definitely did not. And my kids didn't deserve to lose me. So, but the point is that I would see these people's opinions about me like change. Even if they didn't say it, you can just tell by their facial expression where they're immediately judging you and like, oh, so you're that kind of person, and you could tell they're going through their mind like wondering how bad it was. What did you actually do? Did you starve your children? Did you beat your children? Was you living in a tent with your children? Excuse me. um Like, I mean, they just, because CPS likes to publicize the craziest stories that they can get their hands on to try to enforce their agenda and to try to gain support for their agenda. That's now, it's like that's what people think of. They think of the stuff they hear in the media where, someone beat their 4-year-old to death or something, and that, oh, why was this child left in their care? There had been allegations of abuse and CPS didn't do anything. So meanwhile they're thinking that well, CPS isn't taking enough children. And so whenever they do hear that CPS took a child, they're like, "Oh, you must be one of those ones that like was going to beat your 4-year-old to death with a baseball bat or drown your children." And it's like, no, those are the ones they're leaving. That's why they are dying. They're literally dying so that CPS can publicize this bull crap so they can take kids that are perfectly healthy from good parents. Um, and they do prey on the poor, but I have seen people in middle class and even upper middle class lose their kids, but they definitely are preying on the poor. Um, and also too, it's almost kind of like the interview process. They because they come and they ask you how much support you have, as far as family members and stuff. And it seems like, that would be a normal question to ask, and they would have a good reason for asking. And I agree that there would be they have plenty of good reasons to be asking those things. For one, if you did have to lose your child, does this child have a family member and someone that it knows and that knows it and cares about them to go to? Um, so there's various reasons, and it's good to know if you have support. But the thing is if they find out that you don't have support or you don't have the right kind of support or enough support, then they will actually use you not having support to take your child. When it's like, wait, if you're asking me, you should be asking me if I have enough support to see if I am in need of you helping me. That's really what their job is supposed to be. They're supposed to be asking these questions to see what services they can offer to help you and your child. But instead they go, "Oh, well, this mother we'll just say a mother works, 40 to 60 hours a week. So her child stays with a babysitter all the time, and so they are being neglected by their mother because they spend uh 70 hours a week or whatever with a babysitter." And it's like, people got to do what they got to do, man. You got to pay bills. And then if you're on the opposite end like me, it's like, "Oh, well, she's a loser bum who doesn't have a job. She's on disability. And so she can't take care of her child because she's on disability." And so either end of the spectrum you fall into, they use that against you. Um, But I mean, all of us here pretty much know this, but not enough of the world knows this. Um, we are pretty much slaves to the system. Um, like slavery has not been ended. People delude themselves to thinking that because we have the illusion of choice without actual choice. Um, which, we could all we do not continue to fight, we should. Right. That's kind of like what I was saying too, is a lot of times after you've already been through this, like that's what I was saying with me, is at first I talked and talked and talked about it. And I was wanting to continue to fight. And I did, even a little bit after losing my final appeal, even though I knew it did no good legally to do that, because I think you have to, I don't know if I'll be able to find it online, but I think you have to have 6 years to, I think you have to wait 6 years after, either after your rights have been, I think it's after your final appeal. After your final appeal has been rejected, I think you have to wait 6 years before you can file another appeal. It's like, oh, great. Yeah, my child would be brainwashed by then. I'm sure that will really help my chances of getting them back. I don't know if I'm going to look that up while I'm on this. We only have 30 minutes in right now. I guess I can look that up real quick if I can talk and type at the same time. Um, but yeah, so I was talking about it a lot beforehand, like right afterwards. But then I ended up getting to a point where I just Oh, there was one thing. I only did it one time, okay? Don't judge me. Don't judge me. Don't even at me on this if you're judging me. But there was one time I immediately felt bad about it after I did it, but I actually lied one time. I didn't out and out lie. I just led someone to a lie. I don't know what you would call that, but I lied by misleading, like using words or whatever or phrases that could sound like it meant something that wasn't true without actually lying and led someone to believe the wrong thing. Um, but you'll understand the reason why I did this once I explain it to you. So what had happened was I had been getting kind of close to these people or whatever. Not really, but it was like for yes, fightcps.com. Advice09. Hold on, what is that? Let me look that up. I've seen the website. Oh Lord. There's a lot of comments on here. Oh wow. Huh, there's some recent comments on this website too. I'm glad to see that this website's still working. I might try to actually. Yeah, thank you for reminding me of that site. I might actually. Can CPS make you divorce your husband or wife? Yes, they can. I mean, technically, legally, they can't, but they can say that your spouse is a threat to your child, and so you have to choose your spouse or your child. Um, is that advice number 9? Like, is it a number thing or was that a typo? I'm just gonna type in advice and see what comes up. It keeps taking me back to, I think it's taking me back to the main page. I mean, this is a good website. I'm glad that it exists. The only issue that I have with it is that I feel like they need a better. Oh, 2009. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I have. I used to, when I was fighting my case, I used to go to their website and read a lot of articles there and other cases that were similar to mine. And but the only issue I have with the website is that they need a better, I guess, web developer, um, because their website's a little bit messy and a little bit unorganized. Like I wish it was a little bit easier to find what you're looking for on there. Um, because it's littered with articles. I like that. I like that there's a lot of stuff on there, and I'm glad to see that it's still. It appears to still be pretty up to date. Um, but I do wish that it was a little bit easier to read and look at. It's my only pet peeve about it. Um, but yeah, there's definitely a lot. There's a lot of good information online, and there's other websites as well. Yeah. Um, let me see. There's another one. They offer services, but it might just be in North Carolina. ReturnMyChild.com. I should have got their help a lot sooner. I didn't I didn't read everything properly. Like I didn't realize they do pro bono, if this makes sense, but you have to pay a certain amount up front to get them to look at your case. If that makes sense. And I don't remember what it was. I remember one option was I think $75 and another one was 300. I don't really remember, but I don't remember what the difference in options were. But when I had seen it, I didn't realize what the options were and what that meant, and so I ended up not contacting them. Or I did. I contacted them, but I didn't realize the way I was contacting them, they weren't ever gonna get my message, and so I didn't realize it until after everything was already over, and I had already lost my appeals. Um, and what they had said that I needed was every like all of the court cases. I needed the files from all of the court cases, like the transcripts. That's what they wanted. They wanted court transcripts. And the courthouse would not give me the court transcripts and weren't very helpful in trying to let me know how I could get it. What they basically said to me is that I would have to hire an attorney to get my transcripts, and because it was a juvenile case, and so because it was involving a juvenile, then the file is closed to the public, and so you're not allowed to go get the court transcripts. Like, never mind the cases involving me. So, yes. 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 If you become involved with CPS, then you need to get in touch with somebody immediately. You have to, the day they knock on your door, every second you spend after that not trying to get help is a second too long. And I did not realize that. Because like I said, I did have a couple of positive experiences before that where I had a decent caseworker, or at least this caseworker was not desperate to take children or whatever. So I'm not saying all caseworkers are bad. I'm not saying everyone there is evil. One of the people I had an earlier case with was just my son when he was a newborn. Was it the newborn? It was either when he was a newborn or when he was 6 months old. There were two cases then from neighbors in the trailer park I lived in calling. Which one person was like the one that called the police on everybody at one point or another. And then the other one was the girl that had a miscarriage around the same time that I had my son. Um, and so she called when he was 6 months old and ended up being the one who called on me with this case with my kids. She was the babysitter. But, it had been a couple of years, so stupidly, in my sleep deprived state of mind, I thought that it was okay to let her take them or take my daughter because my son was with my mom. But yeah, I don't remember which case it was, if it was the first one or the second one. But one of those, I feel like she really was in it for the right reasons and was a good caseworker, but she didn't stay there long. Like she was fairly new, I think, when she had my case, and she ended up not being there, I think 6 months after that. Um, I don't know what happened to her. I think they said that she either moved to another department or quit or something, something. She was no longer a CPS worker. I know that. But I'm not sure what happened to her. Oh, so this is what I had ended up doing. This was right before I decided not to talk about it anymore, and I had kind of became disheartened about the whole thing. Um, I had met a group of people. We had to meet each other 2 days in a row. It was for some kind of survey thing in town where we were like a pretend jury or whatever. Like, I'm legally not allowed to actually talk about it, but it was a survey, so it wasn't anything real, supposedly. But we're having to listen to some real court cases, so that's why I'm not allowed to talk about it. They were shut and closed cases already, but they said that we can't talk about it because if somehow those cases were to open back up, then anything we say could have swayed the decision and something that happened later on if we went around talking about it. So we're not allowed to talk about the details. But it was like 2 days. It was a paid survey thing. I think I got it was either 100 or $300. I don't remember. But we had to meet for 2 days in a row, 8 hours each. And so there were some people who, I was kind of getting to know them. They were some middle-aged, middle-class women, and I was getting to know them. And they seemed like if we were all getting along, and like that we had talked, we had hung out the day before. So the next day they were like, "Oh, we saved you a seat, and at lunchtime, oh hey, come, we're over here, sit with us." And so we were all eating lunch together. It was like a little group of people, and then I ended up finally the dreaded question came up of, so do you have children? How many children do you have? Like no one who's lost their kids wants to hear that, let alone try to answer that question. And so because of the way I had been feeling where I wanted people to react to me the way that people react when they hear that someone has lost a child. Like I would see those posts on Facebook all the time about someone had lost their child to cancer or some drunk driver hit their child, like all these different things where there's like hundreds of people saying how, giving their condolences. And it's not that that shouldn't be a thing. Like, yes, console the people whose children died, but don't not console the people who have lost their children in this way, let alone you actually treat them like they were the drunk driver that killed the child. You know what I'm saying? Um, Instead of being the mother that lost your child. Um, or father, whichever. Um, I've looked at my analytics, and most of you watching are women. I don't even think that there used to be some men that watch my channel, but it doesn't seem to be registering as any males watching anymore for some reason. So, um, anyway, but when I say mothers, I mean parents. It's just I am a mother, so. But I ended up, like I said, I didn't lie. I didn't say that my kids had died, but what I had said was, like they asked me about my kids, and I was like, or me having kids, and I was like that, yeah, that I had two children or whatever, a boy and a girl. And I mean, I actually did start tearing up, so I wasn't faking that. I just was misleading in the way I was answering them. um, because I was like that I had two children, which is still the way I answer now, but I go ahead and explain what I mean by that. But at the time, they were like, you could tell when I said it that way that their response, you could tell they thought I meant that my children had passed away. And so they were like, oh my God, like, what? I'm so sorry. What happened? And so I was just like that, you know, um, that well, that it's been a few years or whatever, since the incident, and that I don't really like to talk about it or whatever. And so, and I mean, on one hand, it was kind of comforting for these people to be responding to me in a consoling way. And but on the other hand, it was bittersweet because it's like I knew that if they knew the truth of, you know, other than what they had thought up in their own mind, I didn't tell them that's what happened. They thought it up in their own mind. If they thought something else by me correcting that thought, that their opinion of me would totally change. And so it was just kind of sickening and disheartening in a way. And I've never done that ever again, but it's like I guess I just wanted there was just in that moment I just wanted someone to care about what had happened to me. and I wanted a stranger to console me the way they would have if it was loss from a different cause, you know? Which I'm not gonna say which loss is worse. I feel like death would have been better, but that didn't happen to me, so I really don't feel like I can actually say that because I haven't actually experienced that, and so I don't want to say that. Um, but, loss is loss. There's different forms of it, and any loss of a child for any reason is one of the worst things you can ever experience. But, yeah, what you were saying, in the chats, I'm sorry, you've been saying a lot. Um, see. All paperwork between government agency and those filed by defendant should be saved. Exactly, a loss. We trust the government since first grade. Yeah. Yeah, like, I really feel like that's all that public school is for. It's to program us to be docile. And, it's pretty much a slave training. That's all it is. It's training you to be a good little slave. And, Uncle Sam will take care of you, and by take care of you, that's pretty much on of their own determination of what that means, you know. Like, I think I already mentioned this, but like what Richard Brennan said is that you are here to perform. And if you don't believe that, then just stop. Just stop doing anything. Just stop. Stop for a little while and see what happens. It's like you will It's like a group of armed men will show up at your door and they will handcuff you and they will drag you away and throw you in a box with other adult strangers that you do not know. And you will be like, "What was my crime?" You stopped. Well, I was tired. I wasn't well. It's like, and we don't give a crap that you're tired. Everyone's tired. It's like you can't just stop. It's like, well, it's like you have to work. Well, I don't want to. Well, then stay in the box. That's something else. I don't know how you guys would feel about this, but that's something else I'm wanting to do. Yeah, haha, cry, laugh, cry. Um, so if any of you've seen the Joker's, it's kind of like the Joker's laugh. It's like we're laughing, but deep inside we're crying. Um, because you have to put on a happy face. Um, I don't remember what I was saying now. Oh yeah, memes. That's what I was going to talk about. Because um I don't know about you guys, but I know for me, I actually deal with a lot of my pain through humor. Actually some really dark humor sometimes. Um which, even with CPS or whatever. And so I've been trying to get together and remake some memes or whatever. Alex has made some for me with that are CPS related. I think one of them actually has already been shared in the group before. So that's I don't know if you guys are interested in that, but that's something I'll probably be doing. And it's not because, like I said, it's not making light of what any of us have went through or are currently going through, but that is how I process things. That is how I deal with things. Is by It's like you're not really it's not really a joke, but you're expressing the irony of it in what could be considered a comedic way. It's dark comedy. That's what it is. And most comedy comes from tragedy. There's a very fine line between the two. And a lot of comedians, they have actually had a lot of darkness that they have been through that makes them a good comedian. You know, they talk about the most inappropriate things. And so, you know, if we end up, you know, if I end up sharing anything with that channel, like that with this channel, it's not, just letting you know in advance that it's not because I am making light of our situation or because it's actually funny, but just it's comedic relief, if that makes sense. Um, to where it's like you're just laughing at the irony of it, that, you know, like calling it what it is. I'll have to show you a meme for an example, but I don't have any that I can pull up right now, I don't think. There's one that I want to make. There's one that I really want to make that is really going to be really dark. So some of the other ones that me and Alex have made together, they're not so dark, but they're still CPS related. But there's one that I need to really work on and totally remake. See, nope, the whole system is sad. That's why we meme. And yes, comedians, we laugh at misery. Yeah, exactly. That's that's pretty much all it is. I think that might actually be one of the reasons why um, comedy is under attack right now, is because we live in a society um, that wants to ban truth, if that makes sense. Um, and so that's why, you know, like comedians are supposed to trigger you. You know, that's what the jester does. They share reality, they share the dark truth of reality. And, you know, so they're labeled as a jester or a fool or whatever. But that's what they do. They're the truth bearers. And so I think that that's why comedians and like art, like the movie The Joker and everything, has been under attack in our society, is because there's a war on truth right now. And but truth always wins in the end, because you cannot keep a lie going but so long. And I feel like our government, without saying that bitterly, has been keeping us in a lie for over, at least over 100 years now, maybe longer. And you know, it's time for us to break free from that. Like I said, peacefully. We will do it peacefully and calmly, without shouting, without burning buildings, smashing windows and stuff. Um, because really, the people that do that, they actually I feel like they actually limit the cause. They actually limit anyone hearing about the cause, because it ends up getting it labeled in a negative way as something to be prevented and avoided. Um, there actually have been cases, um, politically speaking, where opposite parties have actually had paid people to go undercover and do destructive things or say horrible, awful things, pretending like they were supporting the opposing candidate or the opposing party. You know, Democrat, Republican, they both do it. Both of them have done it. Um, and so I feel like some of the riots and stuff, it makes you wonder with some of these riots. It's like, are you actually for the cause that you're representing, or are you actually trying to make sure that it never comes to pass? Are you for the other side that is trying to make people who are for this certain cause appear this way? Um, so yeah. Does anybody have any more questions? We are almost up to our hour. I feel like I said hour too many times in that sentence. Um, let's see. I'm checking Messenger real quick just to make sure that none of you guys did contact me on Messenger, because I have had people contact me on Messenger before. So let me just check my request to make sure no one has. Okay, I don't see any messages there. Let me just double check and make sure on the Text Now app that I haven't missed anybody. Okay, all right. I'll leave the line open for a little bit. Also too, you do not have to wait and contact me when I am live. I would prefer it if I would prefer you to contact me when we are live so that I can publicly share, and so your voice can be heard live or whatever, so I can share it in real time. But you can also try to reach out to me anytime. Messenger would be the easier way to reach me if I am not live. So, my Facebook, of course, as always, I'm going to link the group stuff underneath. Again, this is not, I'm not necessarily anti-government. Like, I wouldn't consider myself to be a anarchist or whatever. I'm not anti-government, and I do believe that the government has a purpose. I believe that for society and for the world as a whole to function, there. Yes, thank you so much for staying, and thank you for commenting. It's definitely made everything a lot more interesting to have actual feedback. Um, yes, and have a good night. Thank you for joining us. Um, but I do think that the government needs to be reformed as a whole. And I do believe they are using different techniques like the Alice in Wonderland technique. Um, there's all kinds of conspiracies you could actually get into, and I'm not going to, but I do believe there are some truths to many of the conspiracies that we hear about. I'm not saying all of the conspiracies are true. Um, I do believe all of them may have a grain of truth in them, but my own personal beliefs, I do believe that the government uses different techniques and devices to control people, because the government is small and relatively to us. There's 368 million people, I think, in America, and not that many people in the government. So they have to do something to keep people confused and keep people fighting with each other. And as long as people are fighting with each other, whether it's class war, race war, sexism, gay, straight, whatever, everybody focusing on all of those things. And I have always felt this way. I felt this way as a child, and feeling like that with the political parties, Republican, Democrat. Now they've added other ones, or I don't know. They might still have the Tea Party. I'm not sure. The Tea Party is even still a thing. I don't really look at politics like that anymore. But I've always felt that way, that it was so stupid having these different people arguing about religion and arguing about, oh, well, blacks are better than whites, or whites are better than Hispanics, or whatever, or that, oh, you shouldn't be gay, or that, well, if you're straight, then you don't care about the environment because you're breeding children, and they're taking up oxygen and we're overpopulated, you know? Like there's so many stupid things you hear people fighting about. And it's like, why does that matter? Like, why can you not just love other people as people? You know, as long as they are not doing anything in that immediate moment to threaten you, threaten your family, you know, threaten your job, any of those things, as long as they're not doing any of those things in that moment, what does it matter what they believe in? Um, that's the other thing that I believe too. Like with, you know, people of religion versus people who are not religious, or people who are spiritual versus those who are, like, say, atheist, who claim to not believe in anything, which I don't think it's really possible to not believe in anything. Like they have to at least believe that the government is God or something, you know, like someone's running this clearly. So I don't really know exactly what atheists believe in, other than that they say they don't believe in anything as far as a higher power. Um, but even then, I feel like that God, because I personally do believe in higher powers, um, I believe in a lot of out there things, so don't worry about it. I'm very spiritual, so um, but I do believe there are higher beings and higher existence of consciousness, and but I still believe that, like, whoever is the whoever says what's right and wrong, whatever, that that they would rather, and a person who does not claim belief to act as though they do believe, versus somebody who just says that they believe but they act the opposite. um and so to me, that's really what matters to me. I don't care what a person believes. I care how they treat me and the people that I care about. I care about the way that they conduct themselves, as far as, are they acting in love and kindness towards other people around them, you know? Um, and so that's what matters to me. I don't care who they sleep with, you know, I don't care as long as it's not whoever I'm with. But anyway, I digress. So, yes, I believe we need to unify, and once we do, there's not going to be any stopping us, you guys. Um, but yeah, we're going to get our message out there. Again, sorry about not having anything for last week. Um, I'm trying to work on that. Halloween will already be over by the time I see you guys again. So actually, I'll have a lot to share as far as that. I may come over here and talk about other things rather than just the channel and stuff, you guys, just to share with y'all. So we may make this just like a weekly sharing thing or whatever. But yeah, because it gets kind of boring talking about the same thing over and over again. Um, but certainly, you know, I will keep mentioning the CPS stuff and about raising awareness. But I may just catch you up next week on what I did over Halloween. And I have we're going to a Halloween party this weekend up in Washington D.C. I actually have never been to Washington D.C., so that's going to be very interesting. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope that you find it helpful. If you have anything specifically you would like for me to cover and talk about, then feel free to send me a message on Facebook or post it in the Facebook group. I will be linking both of them in the description. And well, not in the description, in the comments. They will be pinned in the comments. So yeah, leave a comment on this video or message me, like, or write it in the group, however you want to do that. If there's anything specifically you would like to learn about or us talk about, if there's any information you would like to find out, just message me. something. Just get in touch with me somehow. Put it out there and get in touch with me somehow and let me know, and we will try to cover it on the Monday Night Lives. Okay? All right. Well, everyone, I hope you have a great night, and I will see you next week.